viewers. Welcome back to another episode of our weekly review series. This is week 5 of January 2025. Let's quickly jump into what happened in the current week. So this week was actually a red week for us. So it's a big hit, 5% down in this week. Last week we were only up by 1%. So in a way, the last week we already had seen the slowdown, and now we have taken the U-turn, and then the drop is pretty high. The win rate seems to be stable at around 40%, slightly less than what we had seen in the last week, but it's the average win to loss that seems to be the main culprit. So apparently, it looks like the method of picking the trades hasn't changed much, which is reflected by the win rate, but the quality of trades that would have been selected probably is not that great. Because we don't have a good wins and the losses seen probably would have been the same. But let's see, I think when we deep dive, we should be able to figure this out. And another red flag is the max drawdowns, which is 6%. So this also has gone up. So seems to be like we have a big loss or back-to-back losses, which would have caused this drawdown. Uh, in which case, I think let's see how we had handled it and whether that's the reason why we have not seen a good week this time. If you look at the position outlook, what all different trades we have taken. So once again, just wanted to mention that what are the wins and what are the losses that were happened in the last week, and what are the contracts taken in each of these trades, right? Like that's what I wanted to represent here, which kind of shows if we are consistent with the position size as well as the risk, right? So that should give some idea. So let's see. Let's start with the Monday. The Monday has actually started with a win. It's a slight win. Just it started with a low position size, which is one contract. And once I had a win, I was able to increase the position size to two contracts. Again, secured another win at the beginning of the week, which is on Monday. Then we had, after a strong down move, we have taken one more trade and ended up making that as profitable as well. So Monday seems to be a good day, and we promised ourselves to not trade after 12 p.m. or in fact even 11 a.m. So that's in from that sense as well. Monday is actually a good day. Coming to Tuesday, market opened higher and then just comes down. That doesn't seem to give an opportunity. There was some opportunity that I found towards around 11 a.m. and that seems to be a loss. And I have come out of the day since I've already crossed the threshold time and it's a loss. So I would rather walk out with a minimal loss. And as you see, our bias for the week was the sell side, and the prices only continue to go upside. So anyway, there is no opportunity for us. Wednesday, um, also the prices went up. I don't see any opportunity, or rather, I could not see any opportunity on uh, Wednesday. Therefore, I had tried to stay out of the trades on this particular day. So Wednesday was almost like an off day because of this massive move on the previous day. There's a high chance that there is a continuation, and this move has already happened on Tuesday evening. So there's a very little chance that the sales will continue. It's most likely the buyers and sellers would fight, and therefore I wanted to stay out of the trade on that particular day. And since there was a lot of consolidation happened around these areas where there was a big sell, I expected some sort of a sell-off at this point, and therefore I had taken some trades coming on a Thursday. Again, it's an expiry day, so wanted to see if I can squeeze in some trades. Ended up with a loss in the beginning of the day, and then patiently waited for another opportunity, and somehow that also ended up being a loss. Right, so we have back-to-back two losses, and I was out of the game. So until now, I think I had a very good week with not a lot of big losses, some good wins, etc., etc. The problem came on a Friday, right? So especially the Friday was supposed to be a dull day, something I think I should have just sat out of this particular day. But nevertheless, let's see how is the trading pattern being. So the Friday started with a win. Probably that's why it would have gotten me excited to continue trading. And I had back-to-back losses. And if you observe, after making a loss, I have increased the position size, right, consistently. So it started with a one contract win, one contract loss. Probably this loss would have erased the entire win, and therefore I had increased the position size. So this kind of suggests some sort of a revenge trading. Ideally, after a loss, the position size should either be same or it should come down. But in this particular case, it has increased. It clearly talks a little bit about revenge trading. Probably need to check this and confirm it, but looks like that's the case. And finally ends up with a winner. And what, since I reached almost mid of the day, I had called it quits on that particular day, right? So this losses on Friday has caused maximum number of loss. It is the contribution of this particular day for our overall growth is the highest, right? So all the wins that we had made in the previous 3, 4 days was erased by the single Friday because of lack of respecting the position size and not being able to manage the trades from the risk perspective, right? Let's look at more metrics. Purely looking from the risk side, we have seen average risk at 1.23%, slightly above last week, but still okay because we aim to keep the average risk number between 1 to 2% and not more than that. So in that way, I think it's closer to 1%. That's a good thing. The largest risk is also 2.2%. Again, something we wanted to keep it less than 3 to 4%. So that's also a good thing, I would say. In fact, it is less than the last week. So that's also pretty much under control. So I don't see any red flags from the risk perspective, right? There is no largest risk, but number of losses above thresholds, right? So the max loss limit that I have per trade, that's violated. So I did take a trade which is more than what I should have taken. So the risk is slightly higher. So probably that's the largest risk. Not sure how much of that is, but I ended up taking a big loss on that particular trade, and number of days above the max loss per day limit is also 25%. So 1 in 4 days is essentially an MLPD day. So there's clearly violations in terms of thresholds. Probably that would have caused some bit of a drawdown. But overall, the average and largest risk parameters under control, but not the threshold limits. So I think this could be one reason why we have seen some sort of a degrowth in our account this week. Let's deep dive. The key trends, as usual, 5% down. So it's the loss is very steep. So this means that whatever we have gained in the January from January first week to almost fourth week, almost half of it is gone. Right, we're still up by maybe 5% but for the entire month of January, but this 1 week has almost erased the gains of last 2, 3 weeks. Right, so that's bad. Like that's really bad. So the immediate thing that we need to do is keep the risk completely under control and not let this go down. So they should not become steeper. It should rather become shallow and then start picking up, right? So that's our next uh, week's goal should be, our next couple of weeks. We need to turn this around. Okay. And if you look at the win rate, pretty stable, I would say around 40%, right? I'm not greatly worried about it, but it should improve because our profit factor is consistently low, right? So it's consistently okay, but this is consistently low, right? So I think something that I need to work for the next couple of weeks or maybe next 1 month is to increase the profit factor and not really work on the win rate, right? So I don't want to make any rules in terms of the entries and exits, but I want to make Or I'm sorry, it's the other way around. I don't want to make any amendments to the way I pick the trades. That should remain the same. But the entries and the exits should probably change, right? Only then I will be able to control the profit factor. So let's see how this turns out to be. And the max drawdown is also under control, so that's good as well. Right, it's around 6%. I think this is also by the highest. I'm sorry about that. It's not under control. It's little riskier. So probably I think is reflecting from the previous metric where the threshold per day has crossed, right? So that is reflecting here. So if we had controlled it, we wouldn't have had this much of a drawdown for sure, right? So if I keep respecting my thresholds, then I think the drawdown will be automatically under control. So let's take it as a goal for the next week. Looking at the in-depth metrics, clearly the R multiple is not in our favor. We have the same amount of a win and same amount of losing trade, right? So, and our win rate is less than 50%, so obviously you tend to lose. So that's just this is not sustainable. So we need to increase this R multiple to almost to a factor of 2, right? This should go up. So let's see what we can do to increase this. Maybe I will start taking a look at what kind of a trades I had taken earlier on in this particular weeks, where the R multiple was consistently higher, around 2, 1.52, and even higher than that, and see if I'm deviating from those kind of a setups. So let's try to see if we can learn from it. Coming to the average risk, we have completely brought it under control last week, and it's slightly higher, but it's still around 1%. So that's really good. So from the risk side, we are good. So any trade that you take, you're respecting the risk, but probably some thresholds we are not able to maintain, but that's another story. And look at the randomness. The randomness is heavily under control, so that's a good thing for me. I think this is something that I really like about this week, that I'm able to respect my rules and therefore keeping the randomness to the minimal. And on the exit side, I've seen some spike in this week, but still under 20%. So that's good for me. Okay. Let's look at the efficiency side. I see the patience on the winning side is going higher, so that's actually a good thing. So there are more trades or more wins where I am reaching my take profit target. So that's a good thing. And on the losing side, if I look at, uh, I think I'm uh, this red line is about how many trades where I had quickly taken the trade out, resulting in a partial loss, but then it ultimately reached the profit target, right? So that seems to be 100%. But there are not many trades where I am quickly exiting, right? So the losing side quickness is still lower. And of those trades, most of them are actually reaching the target, right? So I can actually try to bring down this to 0, wait until the trade hits a stop loss, right? Not rush in. And because if I rush in, it says that 100% of it is moving to the target, right? So I don't want to intervene in between. So I want to be more patient and wait for it to hit my stop loss, which is still fine with me. Because if I intervene, that's a costly affair because otherwise it would have reached my target, right? So another lever I think we have to improve our win to loss ratio is about this. Obviously, it's also would improve the win rate. So I think this is something we need to keep an eye on and continue doing whatever we are doing on the winner side, right? Let's quickly take a look at the summary. On the risk management side, we have the risk and max drawdown under control. So that's a good things observed in this week. From the trade management perspective, the win side patience is getting better. Yes, we have more trades reaching take profit. And the positives are the randomness is under control. So which means we are more system driven now rather than emotion driven. And there are not any counter trend trades we have taken, right? Although you might have observed towards the end of the week, the price was going up, the overall bias was still down. And so we stick to the bias and take only the trades in the bias direction. So therefore, there are no counter trend trades, even though that would have resulted us in losses, but this will help us in the long term. Looking at the negatives, the profit factor is the single largest contributor for us going down in this week. So this has to improve, and I will have to work out on the steps to make this possible. And we have seen this 100% of our partial loss trades are reaching target price rate. So that's a quick lever for us to basically improve the win rate as well as improve the win to loss ratio. And the R multiple for the winner is same as loser. That's again something that we need to see, that it cannot be the same. And with a win rate less than 50%, you'll never make money for this. So let's try to see how we can improve it. So the clear 3 goals that I have for the next week is you stay until either a stop loss or the take profit is hit. Therefore, have more patience. Improve the profit factor. I want to pick more quality trades because the win rate seems to be good at 40%, but it is the win to loss ratio that's bad, right? So I want to pick better trades so that I'm able to, reach my take profits easily, quickly, and most often. So let's see how we can improve that and also continue maintaining that low risk profile that we are already maintaining, right? So our risk management is under control. So we want to keep that, but then implement these 2 points, right? Especially on the improving the profit factor. I want to see how many cases I'm able to take exit at 2R multiple compared to 1R multiple. So I want to deep dive into a bit on that one, and probably let's discuss about that in the upcoming week. I will add another slide where we can go a little more detail into what's happening behind the trades, right? So we're only looking at high-level metrics, but let's slowly start looking at each of the trades, how that is happening, and what kind of a mix of winners and losers we have, right? But for now, let's focus and let's see if I can make that turnaround in my capital. It's slowing down, it's going down. I want to turn around. I want to first slow it down. So the next week focus is purely to not lose more, bottom it out. And a week after that, I want to start see if I can do something to, make it go up. Right, it's high time. We have been in this range for a long time, so let's really focus on the next couple of weeks. And February is something I think I'm really looking up to. I want to break out of this range, just like any price does, and see if we can have a breakthrough. And that's something we can continue for the rest of the year. Thank you very much. Signing off.